Hello, good evening, and welcome to Further Together, Enriching Relationships, Creating a Better Future. Thank you for joining us on this episode this week.
Thank you so much, guys, for always being there on our platform on Further Together. This is for us and about us. It's about marriages and enriching one another in these relationships. We are so excited to be back again for another episode. And tonight is going to be a good night.
It's going to be hot. But before we get into the business of tonight, we just want to say we are here as Further Together, a platform where we deal with issues in regard to relationships and marriages. And we have courses lined up for those who need mentorship, coaching, if you're married. And we have the very much needed and the very much held the
pre-marriage coach,
the pre-marriage course, which we prepare and speak with those who are getting married and they want to know how to handle the issue of marriage, because marriage is hard work and it can be very hard if you're ignorant.
If you're ignorant, that's why here at Further Together, we not only come as guests ourselves every Thursday, but we do bring other couples on board as well, because we know that if you want to go fast, you go alone, but if you want to go far, you go together, you go as a community. And we have a lot of couples that come on this platform to inspire and to enrich our relationships.
Right. So if you're joining us on this episode tonight, just be ready. We have a guest couple who are with us tonight, and they specialize more on.
Before we speak about what they specialize a lot on, guys, do share this broadcast as they come on board. We have Gary and Eve, and we are discussing against all odds, love conquers all. It's a beautiful love story that we're going to hear about tonight. And these guys wear a lot of hats, but we will just bring them on so they can so you can see them, you can see how beautiful they are, and we can have a conversation with them. Gary and Eve Mapanda, you're welcome to Further Together.
Hi everyone.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
It is good to see you on a different platform. We love you guys. We love what you do. We love your union, and it's such an honor to have you on this platform.
Thank you for having us. I'm so happy to be here, and I had to drag him to come here.
You know what? It's sometimes the curse that there are some who has to be dragged in. That's marriage. Marriages are in different sizes and different shapes. So there are some where the man drags the woman, and there are some where the wife drags the man. As long as you are dragging each other and you are going forward, that's more important.
The leash is there.
The leash is what keeps you going and keeps the marriage going. It's so good to hear. Yes, Eve, tell us a bit about your ministry, the Mentally Move, and then we'll move on to Gary, who will also share a bit about what you do as he does as well.
Okay, so I'm founder of Mentally Move. I'm a mindset transformation coach, and I help women turn their ideas into successful businesses.
Wow, that was short.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah, that's a coach. Coaches, they don't speak much.
Oh, we'll get into it later.
Is it my turn now?
Yes, you can go ahead, sir.
I am CEO and founder of Africa Healing Foundation. We are dedicated to providing high quality, efficient, affordable healthcare for everyone in Africa.
Thank you very much. Yes, somebody saying hi, Gary and Eve. They're greeting you. If you're just joining us, would you mind to share? Please do share if you can, so that others can benefit. We know that there are some who watch it as live and some are going to watch it as a replay. Before we get into the business of the day, we want to just take you through word association. So we have just a few words, and we just want to find out, what do you think about these words? So we throw the word, whosoever comes in first, take it and let it be without much elaboration. Guys, are you ready for us?
Yeah.
All right. So the first word is love.
Me.
Nice.
I
Children.
love you.
Children.
Patience.
Punishment.
Resilience.
Family.
Us.
Oral.
Hi.
Dentist.
So many things came to mind.
What did Gary say? What did Gary say?
I can't say it.
All right. Pressure.
Work.
Father.
Gary.
Dinner.
Me.
Sex.
Us.
Divorce.
Not
Not
us.
us.
Nice.
Maturity.
Me.
Me. Me.
I said first.
I said
They
first.
said who says first.
Nice. Kiss.
Me.
Shame
Sleep.
on you.
About you.
Sleeping.
Gary.
Permission.
God.
Camera.
Me.
Oh yes.
Orgasm.
Me.
Human.
I don't know. I'm just copying the answers which I'm getting from my wife. She's been saying a lot of me. So I feel like that was the next thing I had to say. Me.
Oh, you know what? It's good if you're just joining us. We welcome you to Further Together tonight, and a very good evening to our Bishop Douglas Hamandishe, who is our regular here. Who is there? Tina Yakubu. Thank you so much for joining us.
Michael Lee is
thank
one
you
of
very
your
much.
one of the people that works with you, Eve.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Is it Nadel? Thank you so much for joining us as well. Angeline Bure, thank you so much for joining us. The big sis, it's good to have you tonight.
Yes, guys, we're going to go straight into it. Tonight we're discussing Against All Odds, Love Conquers All. Guys, we want you to tell us about your love story. Eve, I'm aware that you were a teen mom, and would love to hear your journey. How did you get to this place of getting seated with a handsome man as your own? How did
We're talking?
Listen, don't mind me. Yeah, sure. So yes, I was a teen mom. I had a child at 16 years old. I was struggling with a lot of mental health issues, mainly anxiety, depression. I also attempted suicide. So there was a lot of things that were going on, but society was just thinking that there was something wrong with me, or I was trying to act grown. At that age I was also drinking, and I never understood what it is I was going through. There was a lot of pain inside me, and I think when I did get pregnant, it was a sense of kind of feeling a sense of belonging and having someone to actually love me, and it was about seeking validation. So yes, I went through life as a single mother. I did have two amazing daughters, both single motherhood. So two different fathers. And, at that point, society had already said, I will never amount to anything. Like, I would never get anyone. And, people would think that I don't know what they're talking about. But I would hear it through the grapevine. I would hear it through them talking. And I think one of the things that stood out was, if anyone, there's someone who will ever be with me, is maybe one of those sugar daddies, or she will never be anything or anyone. So that was the story. But the thing is, I believed in everything. Nobody knew what was going on in my world apart from my family and myself. And I knew the type of person that I was supposed to be, who God put me here to be. I knew I had a vision for my life. I knew, like, the brains that are in me, like, I was not ready to give up on life. And So in terms of love, you know, I've had failed relationships, but I never gave it a magical thing. When Gary came to me, it was at a point where I was honestly not even looking. You know, when God puts something like, well, you know, when they say, you know, it arrives at your doorstep.
Yeah.
My husband arrived at my doorstep, literally. So
disclaimer. Just to let you know, I don't normally do what she's about to say. It was a one-off.
Okay. It was the one-off, but it was divine.
I'm being watched by how many people? They are my witnesses. I have said this.
Yes.
So yes, I mean, at that time I was, you know, going to uni. I was now onto getting my second degree, a master's in social work. I was still a single mother, and then after that, it just happened that I needed to do something with where we live now together. And so for some reason, I started taking off the wallpaper. I don't know what possessed me to do that. But anyway, I started and then I couldn't finish it. So I asked my friend to connect me with someone. And when he came along to do housework. Yeah. I don't know. Somewhere along the line, he came and he never left.
I did a disclaimer.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. You know what? If you're watching right now, you have to know that love stories, they have different sizes. They come in different sizes and different shapes. And yours might not be according to the binary of the society, what society says it must be. But if it is the one, you know, it will just come through. Look at this.
Love came at her doorstep. This is amazing. You know, Gary, you have your story as well. You know, just give us a brief about your story as well.
My story.
Yeah.
Wow. About
how did you end up on her doorstep?
I prayed. I prayed for a woman, a wife. And I was very specific in what I wanted. Height. I like legs, nice thick legs. I like it to be 5'8". I like a bit of a bum. She has to be hardworking. She has to be ambitious. I wanted someone for me. I got to a point in my life where I realized I'm never going to achieve greatness without a great person next to me. So I was very specific. But bear in mind, when I knocked on the door, I was here to do work. But I didn't know what my brother says. He came here to do work, but he's built a home.
Wow.
What is the thing that has ever come out of my brother? I think maybe the only thing he's ever come out with.
Wow.
And to Eve, you know, we live in a society where people are labeled, and when you are in that label, sometimes it's very difficult to come out of it. When they say you are a single mom, some people, they know how to carry it well, and they can carry it until they go to the grave. How did you manage to break out of that shell?
I mean, for me, it was a case of I was tired of, you know, of doing things alone, first of all. And it came to a point where I thought to myself, why don't I deserve what other people have? Why don't I deserve love? And I was tired of people labeling me in terms of, you know, assuming what I can do, when the only thing that I had to do is prove it to myself. They say that the brain doesn't know what's real and what's not. So when you tell your brain that you are not worth it will believe it. So I started to believe that I am worth every single thing. You know, everything that God has for me, it is already done. And no man at that point has anything to say in terms of having the direction where my life is going apart from God. So the advice I can give is, if you keep living your life for other people and seeking validation from people, that is where you are. And that most people don't understand how important it is to be authentic. Live in your story, live in your truth. I said, you know what? I had a kid at 16 years old. So what? I've got amazing children.
Yeah.
And anything. Okay, yes, we have amazing children. But you know what I said? I said they saved me, because the experiences that I was going through by myself, the internal stuff that I was going through, I don't think I would have lived to see today if I had not made the choices that I made. Maybe at the time they were wrong or right, we don't know that. But it's the fact that I was able to come out of that and think about, what is for the good of our children. And no, I stopped thinking about me. It was now about them. And it was about me living a purposeful life. I didn't want to get to my deathbed and all I could say is I lived in depression. I lived as a single mother. I did not want it to be a story of being a victim. I want to live a legacy, and I want our children to see that we are going to live a legacy, and that is what we are going to go down in history as. I'm done.
Do you understand why I stayed? Now you understand why I did not leave.
No, tell us.
Me?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I'm a spiritual man. When I walked into this home, all I could see was a bright light. And when I looked at her, I could see a superstar. From day one, I say to her, you are a superstar, and I'm going to put you on my shoulders, and I'm going to let you shine. That has been my ultimate goal since we met. Bear in mind, I didn't have to convince one person, one heart. I had to convince 4 women that the choice I'm making right now is the right choice, because I also have a daughter. So I had to convince her and make her believe that this is the best move. She has 2 daughters. I had to convince them that I'm not going to be like the past that they've had. I'm going to be the consistent man that's going to be there, the father they can look up to, a man that they can model their husbands on. Give them a good example. So yeah, I mean, essentially for me, that's what it was. Yeah, well, what can I say? She's an amazing woman. She drives me wild sometimes, but she's fantastic.
Fantastic. And this is what we love to hear. So what has been your experience? How long have you been blending this family for, and what has been your experience?
Especially having a teenager in the house.
Do you know what? I will take this one.
Before you carry on, I think we forgot to mention, and I think it's something that I think it's important to mention, that I was waiting for a long time. But when he came, he proposed within, is it 2 months or 3 months of meeting me?
Repeat.
I told her after 3 weeks that would it sound crazy if I proposed to you and married you now? How long do I have to wait before people think I'm not crazy? So I waited 5 months. But I knew from the second week of meeting her, the first week I was fighting it. The second week of meeting her, this is it. I even prayed to God and I said, are you sure? This is it? And he said, yes, son, this is it. Hey. So I told her. I used to live by home where I had a nice bed to come and sleep on the sofa.
On the floor.
On the floor, because we were redoing the home. There was no furniture in this house. So I would leave my bed, my TV to come here and watch channel 125 and sleep on the floor.
Wow. So are you guys a testament or a testimony that sometimes it doesn't take months for people to fall in love and grow and build a union that
get married to the wedding and have all that we had on the wedding.
Yeah, because some of us we dated for 7 years, 7 years,
I don't know. There's no 2 right stories. All I can say is I'm a very decisive man. I don't think twice about my decisions. That is something that I was blessed by my mom. She made me believe I can fly. So ever since I was a child, I always knew that if I made a mistake, she'll catch me. So when I make a decision, that's it. Ask my wife, she'll tell you. I don't think twice. If we say we are going, let's go. What are we waiting for? We go. So I mean, essentially, when I met her, it was faith. I think believing in God. It's my first time I've actually opened my ears to hear my guardian angel telling me, what step to take next. He told me this is it. I just said, okay. I didn't fight it. I just said, okay, this is it. And look at us now. We are building a legacy, empires, power couple, whatever you want to call it. But the trials and tribulations, to answer your question from before, was not the children. It was us. The children are amazing. They did not give us a single problem in blending because we didn't treat them like children. We spoke to them. We told them what it is. I told my daughter that I would love to marry this woman. I asked her, and I gave her 2-3 weeks to think about it. I asked her again. She says, okay, daddy. And that was it. I spoke to the girls here and I told them that I'm here to stay. And just know that when I'm here, things are not going to be done the same way they were done before. There's a man in the house and there's a different kind of leader in the house. And I am very principled. I am very practical. I like things done in a certain way. So simple things like don't sleep with the house dirty. It's to teach you. My job is to teach you life lessons through the home. That's all I do. But us, however,
yes,
that is the hard part. As a man, wow, I now understand a lot of things that I didn't. I now understand why a lot of men bring their women down. Because she's a superstar. She's destined for greatness. And how do I continuously feel like a man when she's shining on the stage and I'm clapping in the audience?
Wow.
How do I do that?
Go deeper.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it took me 10 months to start looking at her as just Eve and not my wife. Because when we got married, I thought to myself, okay, I've paid my dowry. You've made me do this white wedding business. I come home, you haven't cooked. What are you talking about? You've got a headache. We need to shake some sheets in this house. You're telling me you're tired. I did not hear you telling me you were tired when your father was saying 100 pounds, 10,000.
The African thing.
African, it's not, I always thought it was an African thing, but it's the shifting in mind where we now forget that those formalities have got nothing to do with the people that you still are. It took me 10 months to realize that she's still the same woman. I struggled. I used to get frustrated. Thinking, what is she doing? Wow. I want to talk. She wants to sleep. Why? Want to have sex? She wants to sleep? Are you mad? It's not what I paid for.
You know why I married you? Pastor Stanley Navarra says you were tough, bro.
I had to make a choice.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Right, I had to make a choice. Do I come in and observe, or do I just radically change and do things the way that I brought up?
How was it for you, Eve? You had your own freedom. You're in your house,
and independence for how many years?
For so many years, and you have a master's degree. You are studying. You know what you want to do. You know where you want to go. You have your goal set, and there comes this man, and he's trying.
And then you have to be accountable to him as well.
How did you manage?
Do you know what? It was the word submission came very painfully to me because it was a case of I've been alone, taking care of the kids all these years, and for me it was I've done so many things just by myself. I've never really been even when I was like a single mother, I could have chosen to just stay on income support, but I never did. So I was working long hours, so at least I could support, the two kids. And it was difficult because I was coming from a point of the first thing, first of all, was, I used to do these jobs, and I'm gonna say it here anyway. Whoever wants to, you can close your ears if it's yuckish to you, because it's yuckish to him. Anyway, so I used to work as a support worker, and the support worker where you take care of the elderly, you're cleaning pool, all of that. I used to do that, and I used to go to work, and I would then go to uni as well. And in the beginning, he he used to, say to me, okay, the account, there's money in the account. And I would see that every Wednesday and Friday that he's put money in my account, and I would not even touch it, because for me, it was a case of, it's not even my money. Why am I touching it? And that was the first thing. I would have rather gone to work, and then make the money for myself. So I would never touch his money, because at that point I felt, okay, maybe if I start doing that, it's like submission, or he's gonna think I'm weak. So I never did that. It really took a while for me to get used to that. Secondly, the whole thing of, when you two become one, it's I think social media, first of all, has really fooled us in what marriage is, because you see a lot of people who come on, social media, and, they're probably putting themselves out there. But most of them, we have to remember, are not telling what's really going on behind closed doors.
It's for the future.
It is. Marriage is hard work. It is. It takes, like, I think there was a point we almost did like decide that this is it. For me personally, I was like, I'd rather just go back to being single, because at that point my dad had passed away, and it was really a time where things were really tough for me. And our relationship at that point was at the point where it was really breaking down, because I had gone back into that shell that I was in, where I was so depressed. I just, I was so depressed, and I was so angry. So nothing at that point was really, for me, it wasn't worth it. But he stood by. I was like, why is this guy here? Like, he stood by me. He was my therapist. He was my comforter. He even, like, just used to do the most. He would cook. Yes, my husband cooks, and he just stuck it out. And it's that thing where you say, it's only until that point that I kind of had to start thinking about other people, and just come out of grief, and really embrace, being married. It's the point where, we started to now better our relationship. And they always say that, the relationship, especially in marriage, most marriages do not make it in the 5 years, the first 5 years.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that my advice to you all is, after you get married, it's not rosy, it's work.
Yes, you can say that again.
It's hard work. It's not just work. It's hard work.
Very hard work.
Yeah.
For me, sorry, you can go.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
For me, it was quite the opposite that time, because I understood what she was going through. I understood from experience, watching my sister, watching my mom, watching all these women, that the change from being a girl to being a mom to being a wife, it happens overnight for us as men to be a father, to be a husband. But for women, I had said it would take her 3 years. So I earmarked 3 years from the first time we met, and thought, you know what? In 3 years' time, I'll start making noise about this. So she doesn't know. I had something I thought about 3 years ago that I started making noise about now, because I had to wait for the time, because I have to understand and allow her to truly believe that, yeah, he's really not going anywhere, this guy. No matter how much I push, this dude still comes back from work. Like, does he not go? Yeah, so I mean, it's yeah.
And one more thing that we forgot to add in there, in marriage, they say, what's it called? I used to hear this a lot, but I didn't know that it's actually true. When you hear, like, the women, when they're in little circles, because I've got, like, a few married friends, and they would say how, like, the man has to have it every time. That was a reality for me. I was like, hey.
You want to kill me?
I think they didn't tell you the truth. It's not every time. It's whenever possible, possibly every hour. It has to be done.
Yeah, she did not get the memo. She missed that school. I think that day in school, she bunked. She missed the memo. So she just copied the exam, and then she wrote once a month. And I'm coming as the tutor, and I'm saying no. Once a day, she's like, "What? No,
You want to be the first.
no.
So for Gary, how did you manage to, one of the greatest challenges which we face as men is if your wife loses a loved one, then they get into this shell and into depression. They close all channels of communication. And I remember when Eve lost her mom, you guys were preparing for a wedding. We were hyped. We had bought the clothes for the wedding, and it kind of changed almost everything. How did you manage to bring her out of the shell to where she is now?
Wow. I was just there. We had a routine when we first met. Every Friday, she loves wine. I bring my bottle of wine. I brought a mirror. I put it in our bedroom. Not for what you guys think, but for therapy reasons. Yeah, no, that one we put on the ceiling. Hey.
I've got some in my bedroom, so
I know, I've seen them. I just walked in and I smiled and I said, "Naughty boy, eh? Naughty boy."
Yes, so you got yours.
You can go
I
ahead.
I got mine, and I prayed to God and I said, "God, you told me this is my woman. What do I have to do?" And God said, "Just be there." So because I was an obedient child to the Lord for that, and all my experiences in my life, the things I've gone through, every Friday we used to drink wine, and she'll talk. She talked about, I would like to think everything, unless she's got some more secrets I need to know. But I say to her, "You've keeping it inside is not helping. It's killing you. It's for the children. They need to see you happy. Talk. I'm not going to judge you. What we talk about is in our bedroom. Our bedroom is our world. So no one else will come into our world. What we talk about in our world between me and you is us. Our children have to knock on our door before they come into our world. They abide by our rules in our world. My mom comes through my door, has to abide by the rules in my world. So I had to make her feel safe. I had a lot of work to do because there's so many distrusts from the men before. I had to make sure I was as consistent as possible. Money every Wednesday. I come home by 5. I'm always home. I stopped clubbing. I cut everything. I even told my friends, "Guys, I'm going to need a year. I need to work on my home." The children consistent, because that's the only way I could I knew how to get her out of that. Just be there.
Wow, I love it. Your presence, it means a lot. And I think this is what sometimes men don't get. They go, they do the work and they bring all the money, but they're not available. They are not emotionally available. And this is key. Your presence makes a difference. You can give all the money in the world, but if you're not there, you are not there. So it is a wonderful thing that you're mentioning to us right now. There are some women, especially single mothers, who are in the same position that you were once in. Probably they've had 1 or 2 children with different fathers, or 3, and they have no hope for tomorrow. They don't even feel that they can get married and find love again and have a beautiful family. What can you say to single women out there in that category?
I think it's, you have to be authentic in terms of, I think the one thing is we also need to recognize that, I know this is going to tick a few people off, but I'm going to say anyway, as a woman, it's what do you also bring to the table?
Hey, preach, my wife.
First of all, the thing is, I knew my worth. I knew, the type of person that I am. I know I'm very ambitious. I'm very a go-getter. And in everything, I bring something to the table. And, it wasn't, when you know who you are, you will know the type of person that will come into your life. You will know what to expect. But sometimes we also have to not have high expectations. We have to understand that people have flaws, especially with men.
You too now. You also men.
I'm talking
Can you
about,
believe
listen,
we are live? You want to lie?
you spoke.
Your nose is coming out.
Anyway, listen, he needs to be muted for something. Anyway, the thing is, as women and single mothers, you have to remember your children are a gift from God, and they are going to go on to do amazing things. We are not here to just have that label about single motherhood. And I think one thing we have to be very careful of, especially within society and people that are quick to judge people and are quick to talk about single motherhood, because I have seen this in kind of just reality is, there's a few people, some of the people who would talk about me at that time and really put me and stereotype me and call me all these names of being a single mother. And it's now come to a point where the roles have been reversed. Once upon a time they probably were married. So we have to be very careful when we judge people. We don't know what people are going through, and it's very important that we humble ourselves as a society in terms of, if you see there's a single mother, how can you help them? Don't be quick to judge them. And you as a single mother, don't listen to what people say.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you think about it, you're the one who's putting food on your table. You're the one who's helping yourself. And people are going to want to see your downfall. They're going to want to see, oh, we were right. This is how she's ended up. So it's not about proving them wrong. It's for you to understand that your life doesn't end because you had a child, or you've been left, or you're managing those children alone. And I hear some women say, oh, I've given up on love because I've got kids, I can't manage. And what those kids are going to grow up, and then you're going to be left alone. Then you're going to be thinking about dating. No, you still have your own identity as a person. And we are mothers, we are wives, we are daughters, but the first thing we are women, and we have to embrace that and really go after. We all have a purpose, and your story, there's something in your story. Whatever you've gone through is something that is going to help someone else in the future. So yes, don't give up.
Don't give up and bring something on the table. And I know that there are some girls out there who are saying, yes, I will bring my mouth. Don't just bring your mouth on the table. We need something tangible.
I didn't say that.
Can I just add one more thing?
Yeah, Gary,
our wedding was for all those women who laughed at her to say, you should see me now. He doesn't have a big belly. He looks good. Hey, we had 250 people to laugh in their face and say, see me now.
Hallelujah. Against all odds.
Against all odds.
Wow.
Yeah, this is it. This is it. Against all odds, love conquers. You might be there and you have given up. Gary is coming from his own background. So is Eve, but God brought them together so that they will form this union. And that's why we have them tonight, so that they can give hope to somebody who is out there. What more shall we say apart from saying thank you so much for giving us your precious position, which is your time. And to our viewers who are here, many, many thanks. Precious is crying right out there in Africa and say, Gary, my brother, Gary, my brother. She has been sending all those messages. Yeah, he
wants a clone. I'm working on a chemical to clone me.
And yes, many thanks to Pastor Stan Navera, Dennis Chichena, all the way from Zimezo.
Ivy, thank you so much for joining us.
I can't read this one. Can you help me? How do you read this one? It's ADJJ. How do I?
Otenewa, thank you so much for joining us. I believe that's Ghanaian.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. There's many people that have tuned in for the first time. We would love to see you back on the program. Thank you for joining us tonight. And all Eve and Gary's fans, we were shouting out. They wanted to know a lot. They wanted to know about what you guys will be talking about tonight. And yes, this is what we had time for tonight.
Yes,
you promised me questions. Where are the questions? I was ready to answer questions.
They did not.
More questions.
They said it was very entertaining. So
then you want to ask any questions?
Hey, someone has to ask at least one. I have to answer a question.
At least one question, but I will throw this in before anybody comes in with a question. There may be other people that are struggling in their marriages, having come out from different relationships, and they are struggling sexually. They're like, what John is giving to me is different from what
you know what Jojo was giving me.
It's not really going that way.
Yes.
You know.
Hey, can you please? We are live. We are honest here. My wife told them, "Is it the same as something?" Yeah? I'm your first patient. This is our home, guys. Life is too short. Smile more often. My grandfather always talked about love. Love conquers all. And if you are happy, you will live longer. You'll be happy.
Are you happy?
I'm happy. Was that a trick question?
Can I ask him a question?
Before you ask that one, there is another one that have just come in. How do you guys protect your relationship from
negative thoughts?
Hey, thank you very much. I have my question.
It's how do you protect your relationship from negative thoughts and outside influences?
I'll be honest. The first thing I did when I moved in was tell her that it's you and me against the world. Our bedroom has got a window and a door. If you leave any one of those open, you are allowing the wrong person. I knew myself. I knew what I wanted. I just had to be patient enough for her to see that I was here and I'm going to be her best friend. And if she lets someone else influence our world, we'll be ruined. I've learned over the years how to say things without having to say so much. My mom raised me to gave me enough rope to hang myself, sort of metaphorically speaking, enough space to make mistakes, but pull me back just at the right time. So in the beginning, I had the leash, and then passed it over now. But essentially, that's what it was. Like I said, I know what I want. I don't beat about the bush. I've learned communication, so I learned to just tell her what I like. That person is not good for you. I'm not going to throw people out. That's not how I was raised. Open door policy. Even the devil can come in, but they'll go out themselves because we are blessed. They'll just say, this is not our space, and they'll just walk away.
Yeah. Well, adding to that, I wanted to just add, I think one of the things that is important to remember is if there's one thing I've learned in marriage is forgiveness. I think we live in a world where now, like relationships are so quick to end without really being able to see what happened. And also it's not just intimate relationships, it's friendships, it's, family members. And we don't really take the time to understand the other person. And we always want to place blame that this other person is doing this. Whereas we need to also look within ourselves and see how are we contributing to, this relationship being affected, because it's not just external factors, it's also internal between, husband and wife. So it's very important in any relationship that you're in to always look at the other person, but also look within you.
Eve, I'm also sure was the Mapandas are on fire. I'm also sure whether this message is for you or it's for Gary, but it's coming from the Mapandas, and I know people on the Go ahead. You can go ahead and read it loud if you want to.
You have to tell your person how you want it and learn how they want it. Learn each other. If all else fails, find something he or she is good at, or stick to that. He's not good at all that, but damn, he's good at this. Surely they will be good at least one thing. Pick a struggle. I don't know that person.
Yeah, I know that person. Hey,
I know the person as well. So
I know that person. She's not
as well. I'm not going to comment. So I just say, if this one is for you, then
Why it's not for me? It's for my wife. She's the one who speaks for us.
Find something that your spouse is good at and celebrate that like nothing else in the world. Celebrate that. Absolutely.
He's do you know what? He is so good at, Gary has been consistent.
Just remember, my mom is listening.
I know.
So I wasn't even going to say something.
I don't know you.
Don't worry, mom. You came.
Mom has been heated.
He's even getting closer to the screen. Look at him. No, one thing is Gary has always been consistent in terms of from day one. So even with things that he still manages to surprise me, and still like even when I'm tired, he will take on the cooking. Some men won't even cook, and even the cleaning, he will do that with me. Like even yesterday, I was so tired and I still had to go and do a photo shoot, and he came from work to just take me. So it's just those little things that he goes out of his way to do that they're romantic. Sometimes he'll just be doing things to cheer me up, send me flowers, and he hasn't stopped doing it because I'm his wife.
This is boring. You see how men and women are. Me, I'm thinking handcuffs, suspenders. She's talking about romance and flowers.
I was getting there.
High heels and all
And
this stuff.
high heels, suspenders. Women, wear the heels for the men in the house. We like it.
Listen, Gary, for us women, sex starts outside the bedroom, and we say that there's nothing more sexy than a man who's on the Hoover, who's doing the dishy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
I'm going on the Hoover now.
You know what, guys? We really appreciate you. The question that had been asked, how you managed to
blend the
family, it has been answered already. I think it's one of the questions that they answered in whilst we were still starting. So if you haven't heard that, would you please go back on the beginning of the interview and hear that? What more shall we say apart from saying thank you so much for joining us? And Gary and Eve, you've been a blessing to us. Keep on shining. Africa Healing Foundation, as well as
Mentally Move. Do follow them, guys. They can put their links later on. Follow the work that they do and be a great support to them.
For me and my beautiful wife, the mirrors are waiting for us. We need to go now.
And the Hoover is waiting for me now. It's my problem tonight.